That's a classic. You need to see it for sure. The tape is gonna be hard.
Nah, everybody has that. Everybody has that. Everybody has that. I know. I know it's up north there.
Nah.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
It's just when you see like relationship, yeah.
Nah, real talk.
And when you see like stress,
Nah, boy, it was like that.
He wanted a lot of areas.
A lot of areas, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody was counting it back then.
Yeah.
What he's doing, now we see what he's done. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, oh, he had a plan. But this is ill, though. I like this. Like, you just do a concept. Like, some of y'all, I know some of y'all in your 20s, but like,
Barely.
Me in your 30s, bro. 90s was a great time.
Phenomenal time.
It was a fun, yeah, I was a kid, I had no bills.
All I
want. She got a Blackbird. No, this ain't a Blackbird. Or is this a Blackbird? It's a Blackbird, right?
Yeah, that's like a small one.
It's a Blackbird?
Yeah, it's old. Was it?
They had one in the 90s? Well, all right, I'm ready to get started. This is the house of 90s, and she Airbnb's a spot, so I had rented out this spot. I was like, this is a dope spot for me to have a meetup, because typically, you guys know I probably do 1 to 2 meetups every 7 years. So I wanted to, try to keep the momentum, get more consistent with it. So, cool. All right, so today's topic is wholesaling, how to start wholesaling. And for those who don't know, is there anybody here who doesn't know what wholesaling is? Okay, perfect. Everyone knows. So for somebody who's just too scared to raise their hand, wholesaling is typically when you, let's say you find a property, and I'm going to use a live deal. I found a property that's worth $140,000, and I contracted that property for $65,000. I'm selling that property to an investor who's going to come with cash. So what I did, I sold him my contract, and I signed my contract. So I have a contract with the seller and an assignment with the buyer. And what happens is we went to look at it the other day. He offered $78,000. Okay. So at closing, I walk away with a check for $13,000. I didn't put any of my own money in. Basically what I did was I had to be proactive with finding the deal, a motivated seller. We're not looking for people who have houses for sale. We're typically looking for people who have houses on sale. The reason why this person dealt with somebody like us because the house needed repairs. So she understands that being that she doesn't want to fix the house up, she can't get the high price of the market, which is $140. She gets a discounted price. And for the investor risking his money and fixing it up, then he gets the spread off of that. So we basically what we do, we have a service that's very valuable, because some of these people that we deal with, realtors walk in the house and walk right out and say, okay, well, I need you to fix this, that, and the third, because that's what they're trained to do. However, the average American does not have $1,000 saved up. So when you're talking about $10,000 to $15,000 in repairs, even $5,000 in repairs, and just in the horror stories that you can get involved with dealing with contractors, it's just less stressful to deal with somebody like us. I've sold houses at a discount because I was a motivated seller and I just wanted to get out of the house. I didn't want to put it on the market and maybe sit 120 days, 180 days and not sell when somebody has cash. And that mortgage payment was a pain point for me each time I've done that. So that's wholesaling, and you can wholesale anything. You can wholesale houses. You have people who wholesale businesses, and you have people who wholesale restaurant appliances. As crazy as that sounds. I have a friend who owns a restaurant, and he told me there's a business here in Charlotte. It's actually multiple, but basically what they do is when restaurants go out of business, if you don't know anything, if you know anything about commercial cooking supplies, typically they run about $30K and up, brand new. So with that being said, you have some of these businesses who they just close their doors and walk away, and the landlords are stuck with that stuff. So some landlords might call and sell, some landlords might say, yo, just come take it. And some restaurant owners, when they're going out of business, they call one of these people and they buy it at a discount to get some of their money back instead of losing all their money, if that makes sense. So in each of these situations, there's pain points. Those people have pains. In the restaurant, the pain point is, hey, I paid $35,000. Man, if you can give me $6,000, it's yours. You know, I get something because if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna walk away and I'm gonna get nothing because the landlord is gonna lock me out come Friday. You know, with businesses, typically businesses that are struggling, they just want to retire and get out of the business. They sell it, and then that person, you have the middleman who sells it to the investor who fixes it up and builds it up. So, the most important piece of wholesaling is you want to find a motivated seller. All right, not somebody who's selling their house, but a motivated seller, somebody who has some type of headache. Okay, and you want to approach that person with a solution. So, how do you find motivated sellers? This is the way I do it. So, I'll buy a list. Let's say I buy an absentee list in Charlotte, right? And let's say I buy a probate list. A probate list of people who inherited houses, okay? No, I'm not gonna get an absentee list, I'm gonna get a probate list, right? And we know these people inherited houses. Now, let's say I have that data and I skip trace that data. And when you skip trace that data, what I'm saying is you're finding these people's phone numbers, okay? You're finding these people's phone numbers. And because when you buy the data, you're gonna get the mailing address, the property address, and the person's name. So I'm gonna skip trace that person, right? And let's say I go to reiskip.com, I load that information up into reiskip.com, and what happens at that point is REIskip will shoot back all the data with their names and their phone numbers, okay? And with their names and their phone numbers, and from there, now I have these people's phone numbers. So what's the next step, right? Once you get the data. Now you can do this with a probate list, which I like law clerk on demand. You can tell her I referred you for probate, law clerk on demand. You can also do this with an absentee owner list, tax default list, a code enforcement list. You just get the data and you upload it into the skip trace system, right? Now, from uploading into the skip trace system, now you have the phone numbers. What are the next steps? Now, you have cold calling. Depending on your state, you guys are here, but in certain states, there are regulations with cold calling. I do not call people on the do not call list. It's just not working. So I have a system that scrubs the list. If they're on the do not call list, I will not call them. Okay? So you can cold call them, you can text them, which is, you have softwares that do blast texting, just basically saying, hey, my name is Mark, and I'm just curious to see if you're open to selling 123 Main Street. Okay, so you can text, and you got cold call, you have text messaging, and you can do RVM. RVM is considered ringless voicemail, and you can go to REIRail for that, REIRail.com, and they'll do ringless voicemail. Have any of you ever got a call whereas your phone didn't ring, but you got a voicemail?
Yep.
That's ringless voicemail. And you have systems, a platform that will shoot you, you set it up, load up the numbers, and they'll just put the numbers right to people's voicemail, and it'll look like it appear as a missed call. So those are typically the three ways I contact the seller, which is cold calling, texting, and ringless voicemail. I don't do mail anymore. Once you get that set up, I'll just start talking on that.
Okay, sure.
Thanks. Typically, I don't do mail anymore. You can. If you do mail, you want to be highly targeted. Like if you're driving for dollars, you can skip trace them as well if you're driving for dollars. However, you can mail them as well. With mail, I think you should do it if you have a list that is a high motivation list. A high motivation list is like a code enforcement, is driving for dollars. You know there's a problem. Now, when you're driving for dollars, you're looking for houses that have tall grass, boarded up windows, ugly, needs a new roof, 7 cars in the on the grass, about 7, 8 cars. They look abandoned. The house looks like it's falling down. That's typically what you're looking for driving for dollars. You're basically looking for houses that's toe up from the floor. Okay, and with those, you can write those down. Now, Deal Machine, if you can use Deal Machine app. It does come with a fee. If you use my code, I believe they give you a few free postcards or so. My code is Real Estate Doru. Real Estate Doru, DORU. When people on YouTube, I had a link in the description for the Deal Machine app. And what the Deal Machine app is, you can pull out your phone, type in the address, or just put in your, it'll automatically locate your address, and for the house, it will tell you if the house is absentee owner or owner occupied, corporate owned, etc. And you can send a postcard, you can take a picture right from your phone, it can skip trace you, do your number from it, all right from your phone. Okay? The way I got started in 2011 was I had pen and paper. So if you don't have money for the app, that's fine. You can get started with pen and paper. Every Saturday morning, I got up, drove around neighborhoods, writing down address, and then I'm sending out a pre-stamped postcard. Okay? Took me 8 months to get my first deal, but it works. You know, there is going to be a process to, making money in this business. It's not going to happen overnight. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Okay? So it's just not going to happen overnight. Earlier I gave an example of a $13,000 check. With job, most jobs are not going to pay you that, in a month. You know what I'm saying? So the work is work. So, some people, they quit after 1, 2, 3, 4 months. You know what I mean? Which is, I think it's foolish, because after they quit, they just go back to a job working 40 hours a week and slaving away and just living paycheck to paycheck for the rest of their life. Which to me, it just doesn't make any sense. So, from there, once you have the data, you're mailing it out. So let's just say someone, and I'm gonna use a real deal. Someone had called me. I texted them. Someone called me with some land, and some of the land was in the floodplain. And said, hey, this person said, hey, look, I just want to get rid of the land. We had it. Tax value says worth this. Give me this. And I looked at it and I said, you know what? I'll give you $15,000 for it, or whatever the case may be. And I signed a contract with this person for $15,000. It was some vacant land, it was a flood zone, but it was almost an acre. And out of that acre, 2 of the lots that could be subdivided were probably good lots. The other 2 you can build on, but what you would have to do is you would have to build a house high enough where it doesn't get flooded. Have any of you guys seen those houses in Myrtle Beach when they're built up real high on the stilts? On the stilts? Yeah. So if it ever floods, the house doesn't get flooded. So you would have to just build up the foundation real high so it wouldn't flood. So what I did was we locked it up. We assigned the contract. I didn't do a double close. We assigned the contract for $60,000. Okay, so that we had a $35,000 spread in that. So we assigned that contract. This was some vacant land, the hot pocket in Charlotte. So I had it for $15,000. I signed the contract to the buyer for $50,000. We're not selling the property. We're selling the contract. So hey, look, well, you can have it for $60,000. At closing day, we got the check for $35,000 after he wired in his money to the attorney. So he wires his money to the attorney. The seller gets his $15,000. We get an assignment fee for $35,000, and the seller seller satisfied. It was a burden for him. The buyer satisfied, and then the buyer, he took on the risk of doing some more work. Last I looked, he was trying to sell that lot for about $400,000. Wow. Now, did I underprice it? Probably. But did he get $400,000? I don't know. He's taking a risk. I know a few people passed on it at that price, but he's taking a risk. He went to the city, got everything divided, and now he's selling it. Now, let's say if he gets $200,000, he bought from you $50,000. Is that a great payday for him?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely, the risk was worth it. So buyers are typically people that have money sitting around, and the reason why they come to us, because just how we're looking for deals to fund our lifestyles and eat, and that's our paycheck. They're looking for property. They don't have time to put the systems in place and to find these deals. It's hard work. So what do? They need houses to rehab. If they don't get houses to rehab, if they don't get property to flip, then they don't eat. Okay? So that's just how the game goes. And if I don't find deals by, via wholesale, dealing with motivated sellers, not people who want to sell, people who need to sell. That lot I got for $15,000, they listed it in the past and couldn't sell it. So they didn't want to deal with any realtors. And sometimes what happens, you have good realtors, you have bad realtors. Not speaking, are any realtors in the house tonight? Okay, and not speaking bad on any realtors, because you have great ones. I deal with realtors all the time. You have great ones, and you have, some that they might get a little bit too greedy, if that makes sense. And overprice something, and now when you overprice something, they don't get any buyers, and the seller want to get out of the contract because he needs to sell the property fast because they need the money. And so the realtor doesn't serve a purpose. However, sometimes a realtor is the best option. And don't be afraid. If, let's say you walk in this house, right? There's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with this house. This house is perfect condition. The house, let's say this house is worth $250. This house is worth $250, and you want to get it from, you're looking at the property. The seller's like, yeah, you reached out to me. So being that you reached out to me, I'm interested in selling. I want $250. You know the house. You said, so the only reason you want to sell is because you reached out and said, I want to buy it. I want to sell it for $250. I got my friend who's a realtor, and they're coming Friday. What I do, I just let them know on the phone or in person, hey, look, I'm not the best option for you. Yeah, I buy houses. We don't buy every house. We don't have a solution for every house. So, therefore, I might not be the best option for you. What I want you to do is I want you to list with a realtor because they can get you the most money because your house is in perfect condition. And typically what I do, I buy houses that are falling apart. Have you ever seen an ugly house? Yeah, I've seen an ugly house. Well, those what I buy. I don't buy houses that are in perfect condition. The houses we buy, they will not qualify for a loan. They will not qualify for a loan. Conventional financing will not approve these houses. So, like I told some of you in the beginning of the meeting, I picked up a house probably with an ARV of $200,000 for $85,000. The seller was going into foreclosure. By him selling the money to me, he gets some money. He knew he couldn't list with a realtor because his time was not on his side, and his house I have not been inside yet, but I've seen some of the pictures. No, it was not going to qualify for a loan. Some of the bathrooms are bare floor. One of the bathrooms is just bare floor, and some of the houses is bare floor. And I'm just talking about the subfloor. You're walking on the subfloor. So that's not going to qualify for a loan. That's typically what we buy. So let's say your marketing works, right? And now you have the motivated seller. Okay. Once you have the motivated seller, let's say you go out to the property, and I don't want to say, let's say it's in Gastonia, right? Because the outskirts of Charlotte, you can probably still find a house for $50,000 in the outskirts. Finding property in Charlotte, $50,000, those days are long gone and probably not coming back. It is what it is. So let's say you're in the outskirts and you see a house is probably worth $100,000, right? And they call you up. So You go to the seller that they want 50,000. You know you have a deal, and I don't care how bad you are. You cannot mess up a motivated seller. If the seller is motivated, you just can't mess that up. Okay, there's no way to mess that up. You are basically their savior. You're going to resolve their issue. Ideally, you want to dig deep inside to see why they're calling you and what's the problem, why they want to sell the house. So let's say you know this house is worth $100,000, and you and the seller, you walk the property. When I walk in the property, I don't beat up houses. I don't. Oh my God, this is bad. I don't care how bad the house is, because it's been deals that I got because the previous person or the previous investor made the homeowner feel bad by beating up the house, by not working with them and saying, okay, look, how much time you need out? Look, I'll give you 30 days to get out. That's no problem. Do you want me to close before or after? Do you need the money? By just not working with them and hearing out the problem. I've gotten deals like that because you have some people, they just think about me. When you go into the situation, you don't want to think about me. You want to think about the seller. How can you serve this seller? All right, now let's say the house is worth 100. The seller is around 50. You walk the house, say, hey, look, I think I can do 42. Seller says, no way, I can't do that. What about 45? And let's say you agree on 45. And you sign a contract at $45,000. The house is worth 100, and it probably needs about 15,000 worth of work, right? Well, what you would do then, you would sign a contract with that seller. Okay, so you're at the property, your marketing works. Your marketing is typically to get in front of sellers and get a response. Once you get them on the phone, it's your job to ask probing questions and figure out what's going on. All right, now you got one in the hook. You signed a contract for $45,000. So now you got a contract for $45,000. What do? If you're in this area, you can call me. I'll happily joint venture with you. If you say, hey, look, I want to try to move this thing on my own. I don't want to call Nasar, whatever. You can list the property on Facebook Marketplace. I don't care what city you're in America. If you're in a major city, let's say you're in San Diego, you can type in San Diego real estate investors. In Charlotte, they have Charlotte real estate investors. They just, in every major city, they have that. Even in some city subsidies. Cities in the outskirts of Charlotte, they have their own real estate investment groups. You can post a deal in there. You can go to a meetup and pitch it. Who here buys deals? Does anybody buys deals besides me? Okay, you got one, you got two. That buys deals. So you can present them a deal at a meetup. Any major city, you go on meetup.com. You type in your zip code, real estate investing, over 100 meetups are going to pop up. It's going to be over 100 if you're in a major city. When I got started, I learned about creative real estate in 2010. It was nothing like this. It was very few meetups. I got started with going to RIA meetings and podcasts. It was probably 5 real estate investing podcasts, and maybe like 2 of them was active because the other 3 were out of the business. So now you go on listen to podcasts about real estate investing. It's probably over 5,000 of them. Easily. You have many to choose from. So, all right. So finding buyers. We got Facebook Marketplace. You got putting them on one of these groups on Facebook, your city investment group. Going to meetings, going to RIA meetings, going to meetups like this, driving around the neighborhood, see if you see a dumpster out there. And this is what I used to do. I used to walk in on the job site and say, hey, is the boss here? And I guess sometimes me being the black guy, they probably get scared. No, he's not here. All right, well look, this is my card. Tell him I find houses just like this, and I might have some more in the area. Oh yeah, I'm the owner. What you want? Yeah, look, oh you fine? Hey, look, take my card. Now he's giving me all this information. He just didn't know if I was going to ask him for a job, or I was going to rob him, whatever the case may be. However, you just want to open up your mouth. You want to open up your mouth and just don't be afraid to talk, okay? and he gives you a card. You can text him the deal. You can call him. You can email him. Me, typically, I like to give people my email list so I can email them. You know, yeah, I got some buyers that I might text them a deal as soon as they come. As soon as they come, if I know that's what they're looking for. So you can, all right, dumpsters. Now, anybody else has a way of finding buyers? Mike, besides those four, you got another way to find the buyers?
If I was listening correctly, you said meetups, going to the sites,
Facebook, on the Facebook site.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I do. I go to auctions, and then I also, what else I do? I know a lot of people have hit me up recently. I just started this on LinkedIn. As soon as I put real estate investor, I got 2 private money investors, and I got about 3 people who about to buy and holds.
Great. Now, the reason why I asked that is because we're in the market now, in this economy, you can throw a rock and hit a buyer. And the things he said, LinkedIn, he finds buyers on LinkedIn. He going to your city auction site, right? If you're in North Carolina, you don't have to be at the large auction. Every city in North Carolina, what they have is an upset bid book. And with the upset big book, it's going to be your buyer's information all in there. You can tell them, and you can tell them, hey, I got this deal. I want you to make sure you're interested. Now, what you're going to find out is some of these auction buyers will not deal with wholesalers. They just want to buy strictly from the auction. They just will not deal with wholesalers for whatever reason. They just love the chase and the thrill of the auction. So, also, another way to find buyers, bigger pockets, and I have another video. I have a video on my channel, whereas it's how to find buyers. You know, if you got a good deal, it's gonna sell. You know, and I don't recommend wasting sellers' time. If you know the house is worth 140 and you're trying to wholesale for 140, 150, and you're trying to wholesale for 140, that's not a deal. There's no meat on the bone, so that your cash buyer will want to park his money in that deal, because after he pays commission, closing costs, he's losing money on the deal, and that's if he has his own cash. Because if he's borrowing money, he has cost of money. So you have to leave meat on the bone for these deals. And what I see is some people, what they do is they're so eager to find a deal and get a check, they'll just, as long as the property off market, they'll try to sell it, and the deal just absolutely makes no sense, you know. And so don't, you know, get somebody's advice, you know, like, hey, what do you think about this? You know, follow, if you're not sure, just follow the 70% rule, which is an investor wants to be 70% all in a purchase. So if the house is worth 100, an investor wants to be in at 70, $70,000, 70% all in. And that's minus, not 70% all in, is minus your repairs, your assignment fee, etc. Now, if you're in some cities, they'll go as far as 80%. You know, Cali, they do as far as 90%. You know, so, but just keep in mind, you know you got a good deal when an investor is 70% in. And I never had a rehab, a $5,000 rehab or a $10,000 rehab. I've never had that, you know. Well, maybe a time or two, but those are unicorns. Typically, you're going to these houses, somebody's going to spend a lipstick job. For me, is running between $20,000 and $25,000 for a lipstick job. So that's not going in detail, ripping nothing apart. That's just a lipstick job on the property. So just keep that in mind, you know, when you're estimating your repair costs. Do you need a contractor to walk a house? No. Do you have to know how to estimate repairs? Not necessarily. You just want to get the house low enough, whereas it makes sense for an end buyer to buy it from you. Now, let's say after you use one of these avenues to sell your property, you sold the property, right? So now you sold the property, and on closing day, what happens is You had that property for 45. Well, let's back up some. You had the property for 45. You found the cash buyer. You told him you wanted 60 for it, right? And he said, well, I can't make it work at 60, but I can make it work at 55. You said, you know what? Let's do it. Then you would then assign him your contract. You would then send it to an attorney. In North Carolina, we use attorneys to close. When you guys are listening to podcasts and these guys on the internet, they might use title companies in their state to close. But in North Carolina, you have to use an attorney to close. We don't have title companies to close our deals here. So you have an assignment at that particular point from the buyer. What you would do is you would get a non-refundable deposit from him, typically $1,000 and up, $1,000, $2,000, as much as $5,000. I put up as much as $5,000 to get a property before from a wholesaler or even from a seller. You know, if the deal is good enough, I would put more. You know, but you want to get a deposit. The reason why you want to get that deposit is because on closing day, when today is the 12th, right? So let's say closing day is on the 20th. You don't want, if you don't have a deposit, typically what happens is the buyer phone breaks. Oh, he had to go out of town for a family emergency, and he doesn't show up to closing. When you get money from him, their phone never breaks. Nobody never dies in between that period,
Right.
and they show up to closing.
Yeah.
But when you don't get any money from that person, they typically disappear.
That's good faith.
Yeah, you want that good faith deposit. You got it. If they can't put up a good faith deposit, you don't deal with them. Say, you know what? No, thank you. I'm gonna move on to the next buyer. If they can't put up a good faith deposit, typically with a lot of the wholesalers I deal with, they don't make me put anything up. Some of them do. You know, either way, I'm good. If I gotta put something up, if they're gonna waive it, majority of the time the people, what they do is they'll waive that. You got a question?
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, majority of the time what they do for me is waive it, but most of you guys know I'm a guru. You know, I'm not a guru, I'm a guru because I actually do this business. You know, so people know I do the business and, you know, they trust me enough to close on the property. The relationships I have here, and name I built for myself here. Okay, so far as I know, I'm talking about a lot of $10,000. I'll give you an example of a $35,000 assignment fee. There's nothing wrong with singles. Okay, singles $3,000 to $5,000. I do small deals too. Every deal is not a home run. Me, I consider a home run deal 20 and up. Okay. That every deal would not be a home run. There's nothing wrong with singles. Okay, sometimes you're gonna hit singles. All right. So you know, I see some people either they're trying to make so much money off the deal, no one buys it because they were just too good to sell it for $3,000 to $5,000 deals. You know, that is all part of the business. You know, sometimes it's been deals where I thought I was gonna make $18,000, and I made, by the time it got to the closing table, I made $400 because I had to pay off a bunch of the seller liens just to get that deal to the closing table. Just to get it to the closing table. So it's like, oh man.
I just did something like that myself.
Yeah.
Actually, I made $0.
And that happens.
Yeah.
It's part of the business. You like, oh, that just wiped away that money, you know. So with that being said, now then, you know, on closing day, you agree to the $55,000 with the buyer. On closing day, he will wire in the money. The seller get theirs. What they agreed to in the contract, $55 and $45, and you'll pick up your check for $10,000. So that's generally the wholesale business in a nutshell. I went over 3 ways of marketing, which is the texting, ringless voicemail, and cold calling. As far as the cold calling, for you guys on YouTube, check with the laws in your state. Okay, check with the laws in your state and make sure that it's okay to do. Make sure it's okay to do before you start, you know, cold calling people. Because if you're in Florida, there's been multiple cases whereas investors have paid money because they cold call somebody on the do not call list. Okay, yeah, those cases can, you know, people are petty, and Florida is known for suing, but that can happen anywhere. So do not call nobody on a do not call list. There are services that will scrub your list against the do not call list and take those numbers out so that you don't call those people. All right. After wrapping up, now we're going to do Q&A. And what's your question?
So my question is, well, kind of comment. I'm struggling to get deals, right? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
And I've tried a lot of different stuff: direct mail, text messages, written voicemail, going to the courthouse, PropStream. I don't know if I'm not filtering PropStream correctly to actually get like pre-foreclosures and those sort of things. So, like, what would you suggest on that? On the filtering and going like for these type of homes, or what years to look for. Those.
Okay, now where are you doing your marketing at?
Mainly here in Charlotte, but started going to Gastonia, Caravas, and other counties.
Okay.
Union.
All right. Now, how much money are you spending a month in marketing? Like that's actually getting in front of sellers, not like the services you have, like the prop teams and all that, but like getting in front of sellers. How much money are you spending?
I haven't really budgeted it.
Okay. All right. You think it's over 1,000?
I would say so.
Okay. All right.
Well, no, that was for direct marketing, direct mail, but not anymore. So.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you like this. I was doing blanket direct mail. Most of you guys know this already. When I was spending between $15,000 and $20,000 a month doing direct mail inside Charlotte, and it stopped working.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So doing direct mail to blanket list here, I'm gonna tell you that's not the move right now.
Right.
These people are over marketing too. I got a letter back from a seller from when I will go as far as saying I have not done direct mail in over a year. I got one of my postcards back from a seller. He put everyone's name, whoever mailed him a postcard, on 2 sheets of paper, right? And it's a bunch of names. So it's about 20 names on each sheet of paper. And then put a letter behind that saying, so like 40 people, then put a letter behind that and say, hey, look, obviously I have a hot property sitting in your offer. This is not a fire sale. So that's just I'm just giving you that example of most people who own a property in Charlotte, they get those postcards, and including me. So direct mail is not the most effective way in any major city. So and I was spending 15 to 20, and it became a waste of money, like not worth it. So I had to stop that. So I would do direct mail at highly targeted lists. A highly targeted list is code enforcement, driving for dollars, when you know there's a problem and there's a high chance of motivation because you know there's a problem. I would do postcards for that. The other stuff, no, you want to get directly in front of them. So I can't really answer the prop stream question for you. I don't have it in front of me with the filtering options and all that. However, I can tell you, you don't have to go out of pre-foreclosure. Typically, like a lot of people just think pre-foreclosure is a deal. But, so somebody brought me a pre-foreclosure deal. The house is worth $220, and I was going to be all in at $190. Like $195 I was going to be in after buying it from them. After fixing the house up, selling the house, closing costs, and it was going to be cheap money in deals. I'm not even going to count the holding costs. But after doing everything I need to do, I would have lost money in the deal. So don't typically think people hear foreclosure and pre-foreclosures and they assume it's a deal, especially in the retail market. That does not mean it's a deal. A deal is this house is worth $220 and I'm going to be all in at $160, $170. You know what I mean? I'm going to be all in. So my acquisition is running. It's worth $220 and my acquisition is going to be $185. So what you want to do is we're not looking for houses for sale. We're looking on sale. You're going in the right direction, but do you think you have time to drive for dollars?
Yes.
Okay. I would drive for dollars and build my own list. Skip trace that list by going to the site like REI Skip. You got on a shirt and a tie, so I'm assuming you got a good job.
No.
That's why he's doing it.
So, because I was going to tell you have the money, buy a list. That's what I told them earlier, to buy a list. You know, and skip trace the list. Cold call, text, ring the voicemail. That's what I was going to.
Where do you get those lists?
FlipThisRealEstateList.com. 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 And it takes about 24 hours to get back to you sometime, and you can tell me when to list. And yeah, he can get you a list at FlipThisRealEstateList.com. So
Oh, it's one person.
yes, one, yeah, and he'll get you a list. So, yeah. So I hope that answers your question, but it just what I told them earlier. It took me 8 months to get my first deal driving for dollars. So right now you're just paying your dues. So you're paying your dues. You're trying a different list, and whatever you try, just stick to one list. Right? Some people do bandit signs. I don't do bandit signs. They are. I don't want to use the word illegal, but there is a city ordinance with these signs. Okay. And the city ordinance is, it might, you gotta be 10 feet from the curb, or is it 15 feet, or
Yeah, you gotta be 10 to 15 feet.
there we go, somewhere from the curb. Now, if your sign is 10 to 15 feet from the curb, defeats the purpose, no one sees it.
Right.
So what they do is, they'll call, you put it on the curb and they pick it up, they'll call you and let you know, I don't know the prices now, but sign 1 through 5 is $100 a piece. 5 to 10 is like $500 a piece or something like that. And I know 10 or more, they charge you $1,000 each sign. If you got 10 or more of those signs on the street, they charge you $1,000 each sign. So
Fines you're talking about? Yes.
yeah, the fines for the city of Charlotte for putting out those bandit signs.
Little tip, don't put your personal number on there.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I know a guy who just got hit.
Okay, so he just said don't put your personal number on there, which that might be common sense for some of you guys. Believe it or not, people get fined like that. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you not to even chase the risk. You not to even take the risk. If you're gonna do it the right way. You know, that's what I'm gonna tell you. You're gonna do it the right way, which is be 10 to 15 feet from the curb.
Wherever you see the political signs at, put it right there, because they're more so in city ordinance in the laws too, because they don't want to get their campaign money taken.
That's absolutely correct. So you know you can try that. So, any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
you kind of mentioned it earlier, but what's the maximum allowable offer formula? You talked about 70% and some other things.
It's ideally the investor wants to be 70%. So if the house is worth 100, with paying you your wholesale fee and having the repairs done, he wants to be in at 70,000. So what people typically do is they'll whatever the ARV do the 0.70, whatever the ARV is, minus repairs and minus your wholesale fee. You have to have an idea wholesale fee you want to have, you would like to get, which is could be 5, 10, 15,000, and you back it out that way so you know what to offer to the seller. Yes, Aaron.
Can you explain the best way to estimate like the cost of when you go walk a property, the estimated cost of fixing it up?
Yes. So the question was, could I explain the best way to estimate cost? Which there's never really going to be a best way, and don't get stuck on this. But typically, let's say a house, and I don't have my sheet in front of me, but what I do is I run off experience, right? So just to make it simple, right? If a house is 1,000 square feet and it's a total rehab, you can calculate somewhere between. Let me pull my calculator. Make sure I'm giving you guys the right number. Let me see. And this is different, right? For everybody. It's different. If you have 1,000 square foot house, total rehab, you know, you could be spending $35 a square foot. A square foot. So you can just use that number somewhere between $20 and $35. I know it's a range, but that's what you're gonna calculate. Now, if you go into a house and it's like this, right? Whereas you guys can see on YouTube, but she in this particular house, the house of 90s, you can find this on Airbnb in Charlotte. She has the modern plank floors, right? So you know you don't gotta do the floors because they're modern, they're updated. So that's gonna save you money, you know. And typically, paint jobs are gonna be between $1.25 and $1.50 a square foot, right? For a professional paint job, a professional, not just hiring some guy off the street, you know. And professional paint jobs. So let's say, and I'm pulling these numbers out the air. You spend between $2,500, $4,000, like $2,500 to $3,000 for a professional paint job that includes paint, and from there you got to look at light fixtures, etc. Say another 5,000 light fixtures throughout the house. And so you just want to look for things, and you're never going to be good. Ideally, what I tell people, just go in there and just get the house as low as you can, and then just start from there. But you're never going to be 100% accurate on repairs. I rehab houses, I build houses. My budgets are off, so you're never going to be 100%. You just want to be good enough. Okay. Fortunately, when I first got started, I had somebody to work with, so that particular person, my partner, will work with me, and you know, it's more of a comfort thing. But you can start from a house of total rehab. You can start at like $35 a square foot to, you know, fix up the whole house, depending on the square footage. But some of you know, and some of you been to the property. It's been houses I bought for 1,000 square feet that I put 80,000 into, because not only was the house, you know, a total rehab. I bought the house sight unseen, and the roof was on the ground. So, yeah, the roof was on the ground of the house, and yeah, that sucked. And this other one I picked up last Monday, I have not been in there, so let's pray that the roof is was supposed to be at, and not on the ground of the house. You know, if it's on the ground of the house, I screwed myself. You know, but the roof is still up there. You know, I might come out all right. You know.
What would make you purchase a house sight unseen?
You gotta move. You have to move fast in these deals. So what's gonna happen is, if you do that 10 times, you're probably gonna lose money on 2 or 3, but you're gonna make on 7. Because what happens is you gotta move fast on these particular deals. So let's say if my boy Nay over there, he brings me a deal. I want him to deal with me. This is a hot market. He tells me the situation, and I say, hey, look, let's close. Today is Wednesday. I say, hey, let's close Monday. Hey, you see it? No, I'm see it. Let's just get it done. Because the deal, I don't want to. Sometimes what happens in prolonging the deal, somebody might try to go behind his back, and the seller disappears, even though he has a contract in place. You know, there's a difference between state law and contract law. You know, contract law, in order, you know, to, if somebody violates that, you have to sue them. And I'm not in the business of suing sellers, so I want to move fast and get this deal done. You know, so I buy, people bring me houses. If the numbers work out without a calculator, I'll probably buy a sight unseen. Some of them I say, hey, look, can you get me inside? If they can get me inside easily, I'll go. But like this one I did with the roof, the number was just too good to be true. You can't buy a house in Charlotte for that much. So I went online. I seen one picture in the front of the house. I said, oh, brick house, we're good. Yeah, no, I don't need to go in. I bought a house in that neighborhood before. I know how it looks inside or whatever. And then when I got there and I broke inside of the house I owned, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty bad. And then I got to the back, and the back of the house, you looked up and seen the sun. And that's when I just knew that this was real bad, and this can be a disaster. Yeah, that house sat in the market longer than it was supposed to, but believe it or not, after like probably 9 months, I made $4,000. I thought I was gonna lose on that house. I made $4,000. That surprised me, but you know it happens. So you buy 10 houses sight unseen. Let's say you make money on 7, you might potentially lose on 3. You know, but I gotta move fast because these deals don't last long. You know, it's a lot of sharks in Charlotte. And, you know, people, when there's money involved, people show their true colors. Not everybody's going to be honest and do the right thing.
How do you know if you're gonna flip it or wholesale to someone else?
All right, the question was, how do I know if I'm going to flip the house or wholesale it to someone else, right? That's a great question. I look at the numbers. So I have a wholesale business that pretty much pays the bills. So typically I look at everything as a wholesale first. If, let's say, and it's like a crazy home run, like, yo, this house is worth 300 and the seller got to leave town tomorrow, so they'll take 100. Yeah, I might just hold. I might take that one down. You know, I might take that one down so I can sort everything up and then resell it or rehab it at that time. But I want to get the seller out the way. So it just all depends on the number. It really all depends on the number. With rehabbing, it can be extremely stressful.
You serve as your own general contractor?
No, I'm not my own. I'm not licensed, so I'm not a general contractor. So I have to hire a general contractor.
I don't want to answer all the questions, but I got a ton of questions.
Let's go. Nate, what's your question?
When you doing your own cold calls, everything, you have your own team set up doing everything.
I have a team that do it, but lately I've been helping out with acquisitions.
Now, when you're setting up your team, what are you looking for when you're setting up your team and just the people you're putting on?
All right. I mean, ideally, you're looking for people who are money motivated and understand if they're on the phones, they basically going to be on the phones making 100+ calls a day. You know, and talking to 100+ people, and you want to make sure that it's all right. I want to give you the worst case scenario. You're going to consistently be on the phone, working lines, etc. So you want money motivated people. You know, who's going to be motivated to pound through that list and to find deals. So, yeah. And ideally, the first thing you want to hire, you want to get off the phones yourself. So you want to hire somebody to be on the phones. So let's say you drop ringless voicemail, you want to hire somebody to, you know, get those calls in. When I say drop mail, I hire somebody that's going to fill out those calls and, you know, put me and my sales guy in front of just the motivated sellers. And the people who have a house that's worth 140 and they want 140, you know, we don't bother around with them. Hey, look, your best option is listen with a realtor. Seems like a great house. We can't help you. You know. Yes.
Did you say?
Okay.
I was going to ask that the same question. Basically, how you deal with a seller that thinks their house is worth more than what it really is. Because most people do.
Absolutely. Your house is worth more than what it is. It's very common to talk to somebody. Listen, just remember this. We're dealing with the minority of the market, right? The majority of the market can just go list with a realtor. There's a small segment of that market where they have some type of problem or their house is not qualified for a loan. It doesn't, sometimes it has nothing to do with the house and they got to get out of the state ASAP. You know, divorce is real. Death happens every day. So that's extremely real. You know, job relocation happens often. Hey, I gotta go to the job or else, and the job is in Utah. So I gotta get rid of this house, you know, sooner by, let's say by March. You know, so there's different situations, whereas we deal with people who have some type of situation, whereas they just can't go to a realtor. So remember, we're dealing with the minority of the market because the majority of the market could just, you know, list with a realtor because there's nothing wrong with the house. So do not be afraid to tell a seller, hey, looks like this house is in perfect condition. This doesn't really fit our buying criteria. We typically deal with houses that are tore up and need work because we're one of those flipper guys you see on HGTV. So listing with a realtor might be your best option. You know. Yes, the question right there.
Thanks. So I know you're saying with the bandit signs that you shouldn't put your real phone number up there. But with postcards, should you not put your last name like on the return address if you don't have a business yet?
No, that's fine.
Put your last name, you feel like?
Huh?
Can you put your last name on the postcard?
I used to. I don't. When I started doing like a bunch of it, I stopped. Used somebody else in the company name that was answering the phones.
No, I use my home address.
Yeah, I used. When I started, I was using my apartment. So yeah, I put my apartment in the joint. When I first started. Yeah. So the question was, can you put is it all right to put your address and your name and your last name on direct mail? How do you feel comfortable with?
Okay.
Just do it whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it.
Okay, because I just sent out just probably like $40 worth of postcards, but somebody actually called me today.
Yes.
And I could tell it's a good deal, but I'm trying to figure out how to analyze it. I mean, because he has like a jungle in front of his property and it's inherited.
That's great. Those are deals I like. I love those deals. Let's talk about that jungle of a property you have offline. If we don't talk tonight, I'll give you my number. You can text me tomorrow. And if it's a jungle in front of the house, then just start doing jumping jacks and backflips.
Okay.
You just be very happy. That's what you want.
That is coming.
Okay.
Because the houses I deal with jungles in front of them, and I had a seller tell me this, like, yo, the realtor pulled up and just pulled off. I had someone tell me that, like, yo. I mean, if I'm dressed up, like this guy over here with a tie on and my good shoes on, I'm not going in there. I mean, So me, typically, and they see me out before during business hours, and I got my workout clothes, I got my sneakers I could beat on. I don't care what happened to these. You know what I mean? So if it's a jungle in front of the house, oh, Mr. Seller, let's go. Yeah. I'll jump over stuff, Oh, you want to stay here? No problem. I'll go in. You just wait here. I'll go in and we like the houses where the sellers won't go in. That's the best. When the sellers won't go in the houses, those deals are always the best. When they say, hey, now you go in, we're right here. Perfect. Be right back. So those are the best. Yeah, so those are the best when the sellers won't go in the houses. What city is that deal in?
It's in Mecklenburg. It's in 2844.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's nice. That's what you want. Okay, what's another question?
With your cold callers, do you like to use American cold callers or like Filipino?
All right, so it's a difference of opinion. That's a good question. It's a real difference of opinion, man. So there's no really right answers. You're gonna get better quality with using Americans. Especially cold calling, testing, you're always gonna get better quality with Americans. I use people in the Philippines because it's cheap and they can do more. So yes.
How are you following up behind them to make sure they're doing what you're expecting them to do?
Recorded lines, and you can hear their conversations, and you can see how many dial-outs they have. Any other questions?
How much that cost?
What, for the recorded line?
Well, just for pay for people to cold call for you, roughly.
Okay, I got one VA I pay about $9.80 a week. $9.80 an hour.
In the Philippines?
Yeah, and that goes through a third party company because
How much was that an hour?
like $9.80 an hour.
Okay.
So that goes through one of those services that typically what they do is you'll have an American who runs the service and get VAs. And my second VA I just picked up, what he does, I got him at $4 an hour. And because I basically hired the middleman who's in America, and he'll set you up with some VAs, you interview, you pick one, and you go from there. And I pay him $4 an hour. And from what I was told, $4 an hour in the Philippines is really good. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was told. I was told $4 an hour in the Philippines is very good. Like, that's a great job. And that they didn't have to go to college for it because all they do is, work with the phones.
So how many calls they make in an hour, roughly?
An hour, if you got them on a dialer, when I say a dialer, something like Mojo Dialer, whereas they're dialing 3 phone numbers at a time, you want to making, probably like 300 calls a day or such, if they have a dialer. Mine is just pounding out lines, doing a lot of follow-ups, because I still got, at one point, I was spending $15,000, $20,000 in mail years ago, but I still got leads that's sitting in my my CRM, which is a customer relationship management software. So it's sitting in there. So we got 17,000 leads in there. So I got to hire the guy to just pound that out. You know, because what I was noticing was the people that was calling back, I already had them in my system in this particular area. Yeah, because at one point I had, you know, when I was using mail, you spend that much, you know, I was the 400-pound gorilla here, you know, so then that stopped working, and, you know, you just gotta, like the book, Who Moved My Cheese, you know, something new comes around, you just gotta adapt.
So you mentioned a CRM, client relationship manager. I know of Salesforce. Which one do you use?
I use Podio. It's highly customizable. Podio. If you're not in IT, it's going to be very, like, well, I'm not going to say it's going to be very difficult, but it's to make it customizable for your business. It's going to be a little bit difficult. But I use Podio. It's highly customizable. So what people do is they normally buy somebody Podio space. Like I bought someone Podio space, but they have investor views out there. They have beast mode out there. They have multiple options. Whereas what they do is they just sell their Podio space for a monthly fee. But getting started out, don't be afraid to use pen and paper. That's how I started out, pen and paper. Then when I got to the point of too many leads, I was like, yo, I need a CRM, a customer relationship management software that, you know, if you worked in a sales job, you're probably familiar with. Because even coming from a corporate background, when I used to try to apply for the sales positions that they never hired me for, they will always say CRM experience, etc. And then when I started working for myself, you know, just as the term CRM, I was familiar with the term already, and I realized that there are multiple CRMs out there. And if you're on the hook, just type in real estate investor CRM in Google, and you will find that there are multiple people who cater towards this space. And you can find the one that that fits well, that you think you can work well with. You know, a reason why I like Podio is it's really easy to scale and manage a team from it. Yes, any other questions? All right, okay, so we don't have any more questions, so you guys just want to network. For all those on YouTube, if you go to my Facebook group, I'm gonna put in the description, Wholesaling Houses with the Doru. It's on Facebook, Wholesaling Houses with the Doru. I do not do any coaching or mentoring. If you want access to me, you can go to the Facebook group and you can ask questions there, and I'll answer them as fast as I could. Also, you can follow me on IG, Real Estate Doru, one word, Real Estate Doru. I'm not a guru, I'm a Doru because I actually do this business. So Doru is D-O-R-U. So you can join the Facebook group, follow me on IG, and as usual, until next time, much success in your life and in your business. Peace.